Geez, these things are dry. Look at this. You can just kick them out of the pods. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever time of day it is that you are watching. This morning we had a little bit of grain left on the cart. We are picking corn across the road. Figured I would go ahead, get it offloaded onto the baby truck where I've got the auger set up. Just running it into the bin here. We've got about 4,000 bushel left that can go into this bin. It is a Saturday, so terminals are going to be closed tomorrow. So we're going to go ahead and get a few more trucks in over at Wyoming, and then that way we know, or we should, have just enough corn left to finish topping off this bin. And then we will be done over here at the North Place. Get some trucks loaded, headed to town, finish topping off this bin, and we'll go from there. Now there is a jump in these videos. I did not record it yesterday when we got all this stuff set up to the bin. We had to drop a spreader, put a new one in, fix the electrical panel, just little odds and ends. And we didn't get started super early. It had rained quite a bit. We didn't know if we were going to run or not, and so I really didn't record anything. It was kind of a crappy day, honestly. But we did end up getting quite a bit of corn out last night when it was dark, so didn't get home until 1 o'clock in the morning, whatever. I actually ended up falling asleep in the tractor at one point because whatever this sickness that I did have, man, it is still just kind of lingering around. It just will not go away. I walked 100 feet and I'm just exhausted. So as far as this bin goes, the way I'm keeping track of this is obviously we've got a scale on the cart, so I know how many pounds that I'm offloading onto the truck, and then I'm just writing down how much weight I'm putting into the bin every time, and then I can just divide this. Since a bushel of corn is 56 pounds, then what I can do is I can add up all these pounds. So I'll go ahead and do that now. Okay, we got 279,350 pounds. Divide that by 56. That's roughly how many bushels we have in there. So I'm going to call it about 5,000, maybe even a little over. I like to just kind of think that I'm overshooting, or make sure that I'm overshooting how many bushels I'm putting in the bin, so that, say this bin holds 10,000 or 10,000 bushel, I'm going to assume that I have more in there than what this says, because that way I do not overload the bin. We got a little over 5,000 in there. I'm going to go ahead, and once I put in another 3,500, 4,000 bushel, I'll go ahead and check how the bin is looking. This particular place that I'm unloading at it's a little tight to get through here. We've got a telephone pole on this end. I gotta miss the loader bucket on the tractor coming through here and the truck. Then I've got power lines overhead, so I've got to be pretty careful here. Make sure I always fold that back down. Now there is something wrong going on with this tractor. Every time I just kind of let off the clutch, or I'm trying to load the truck, it just jerks the crap out of you. I don't know if we're going to be able to finish the fall with this tractor. Might have to swap over to the 8270, but you can see it just grabs twice. I mean, there's no smooth transition to your forward movement here. Something is wrong with the clutch. Trying to load a truck is pretty well impossible, because when you're loading a truck, you want to kind of just slowly roll forward and stop, slowly roll forward. Well, this thing, it's just, when you got that throttled up for the PTO and you go to let off the clutch a little bit, my goodness, she just wants to take off on you. This is actually the field that we finished on last year, because I think the first videos that I made, or that I published on the YouTube channel, was actually this farm. It was the very end of harvest, and yeah, we finished up picking corn here. It's almost been a year since I've been doing videos. It's crazy to think. Well, I actually just got off the phone with Dad, and I guess they are coming out today to look at this thing, so that's a good thing. He said he may just have to recalibrate the clutch, whatever that means. And somebody made this road a mess. Well, we pretty well wiped everything out here. We just got another field on the backside there that we don't have much left of. Jeez, he's already got his auger out. Well, I'm gonna be a while. The guy did come, calibrated this clutch. However, if you couldn't tell, it's not fixed. That did not work. However, I think it's just a master solenoid or something on the side of the tractor here that they can change. They had the part and the time to fix it. However, we didn't want to take the time to do it. It is beautiful running today. We really just want to get this done, get moved over to the other farm, because that is where our last 114 acres of beans, 112 whatever acres of beans are. And we really want to get those out before it rains, because there's a good chance 3 or 4 days from now. So we didn't want to take the time, because about the time they tear into something, then it turns into something else, and it's just a snowball effect when you're working on half of this stuff. So we said, no, it's fine as long as it's not going to get worse, which they said, no, it shouldn't get worse. So we're just going to be hauling back into here again. Until we are finished, anyway. Like I said, it is fairly tight. You got to kind of watch things here. Watch the backside of the truck and the telephone pole and well, it is official. We have a head on its way. On a 2015 608C. We didn't end up going with the Drago. We went with the Deere 608C. He ended up having a Yetter Devastator to go on it. He's going to put it on for us. It's got nice chopping knives. It's just, we couldn't stand it anymore. We couldn't stand looking at this anymore. This particular farm gets ripped, so we weren't too worried about it if we had to come here without a new head. The stock rolls are just shot on that head. I mean, you've probably been seeing it throughout the video. You're like, man, their fields look like crap. Yeah, they do. The reason we don't like it, obviously, is because we don't want this stuff to tear up the tires. You have no idea how fast tires go, or how fast you'll go through tires just running over these stalks, especially when it gets colder and you're putting strips on. That was the first thing when we decided to go strip till. I said, we have got to get something to knock these stalks down, so that just tear them up, so that we're not tearing up the tires. I mean, you'll spend a fortune. So we bought the Devastator. I mean, basically the first iteration. As soon as it came out, I seen it and I'm like, man, let's try that. And now it seems like everybody and their brothers got a Devastator on. The reason we didn't go with the Drago or the Drago GT, it has nothing to do with the head. It was just the implement dealer that we were trying to buy it through. It was just a weird experience. It almost seemed as if they didn't want to sell the head. We gave them all the information for the 2408, like they asked. They asked for pictures and everything. He's like, thanks, I'll get back with you. Well, we've been waiting, because we've been waiting on several people, give us answers. We got answers back within a day on pretty much all the deer heads, and we were like, you know what, we're cutting beans. We'll wait for the Drago to come back, whatever. Like 4 or 5 days later, I finally called him and I said, hey, you got any information, or did you find anything out? And he said, oh, who is this? What do you mean? The guy that was asking for the Drago. Oh, the guy's from Minnesota? No, the guy's from Illinois. He said, oh, okay. He said, yeah, what were you looking at again? Tell him. I said, oh, okay. Well, could you send me pictures of the head you got? Sure. Already did this 5 days ago, but yeah, we'll send them over. All right, thanks. And then I sent him all the information. He goes, what head was it again that you were looking at? I don't mean to complain, and maybe he was swamped, but he finally comes back and says, I really don't know what we could give you for trade-in or anything like that. Why don't you just shoot us an offer? It's like, we can't be the buyer and the salesman here. Like, what is going on? Just get us a price, And finally, he comes back with a price and says, I can do this in a box of grease. He was going to give us, like, nothing for the head. And it was, you know what? Just never mind. This was after another day that he never answered. He wouldn't answer my calls, text, nothing. So I called a different salesman from the equipment place and was like, did he go on vacation or did he have a family emergency? What's going on? It's middle of harvest. We were really looking for a head to run now. And they knew that. And so he's like, well, let me get a hold of him. And not 5 minutes after I get off the phone, the guy texts me and he's like, we appreciate your time, but no, we're going to keep the head. It was kind of a what? It was a weird experience, honestly. I won't say what implement dealer it was or nothing, but it didn't make any sense. It was the first salesman I've ever dealt with that really just didn't care. Didn't want to sell it, didn't want to make a sale. Like it was odd. The whole thing was odd. But anyway, so we just went with a deer head. The guy that we're buying this from, it's a CJ Beeps up in Iowa. Really nice dude to work with. I mean, he's even putting a Devastator on. He's installing the Devastator for us for cheaper than we could buy a brand new Devastator from like Sloan Express or something, So, and delivering us the head. So it'll be here Tuesday, I think. I mean, great guy to work with. Look, guys, it's what they call a Joe Biden corn maze. This place has got everything: berms and terraces and trees in the middle of the field and hills and gravel. Oh my. Gosh, this wind is just brutal today. It's hard to even want to be outside. Well, that is finally a wrap on this farm. I mean, it seems like this place is really taking forever, but Dad is going to be heading out with the combine. He's just going to take right off. I still got 35,000 pounds on here. I'm going to go ahead and put this into the bin. Should be about 8,500 bushel in that bin after this gets in there. Didn't quite fill it, but we usually put about 9 to 10,000, anywhere in there. So we hit it pretty close taking that many truckloads to town, so that's good. We at least don't have anything on the truck now. I have no idea, but it's all over the top of this down here, and it's leaking down the side. I mean, hell, I don't know if that's splattered from that or not, but who knows, for gosh sakes. Bin should be pretty close to full. Didn't look. Don't really have time. Dad already left a little while ago. I gotta get on the road. It's not a far drive, but by tractor it is. Gosh, this is even going to be difficult to drive down the road. Just with the clutch sticking like that. Well, we're going to get headed up there. Yes, I still have that leak on the front of the tractor, but the farm that we're going to, the guy that lives on the property there, he's got a nice shed and shop and everything and tools. Just help immensely. There's no alarms going off, anything like that. No low fluids anywhere. Like I said, I think it's just steering, but Steering feels fine, so I don't know. Must not be that important. Hopefully I can make it there. If I break down in the middle of the road, then I guess I better find a pretty wide field entrance or somebody's yard or something. I don't know. I do not want to be broke down on the side of the road. Let's put it that way. Should probably just get switched over onto the draper and cut beans all day tomorrow. We have a bin site up there, so tomorrow being Sunday, elevators are closed. It's actually perfect timing that we got all this done. We're gonna get up there, be able to just harvest all day tomorrow and just fill bins. So that's the other nice part about having bins, the ability to store the grain, sell it whenever you want to. Not only is it just that, but it also gives you the ability to run on like a Sunday or after the elevators close. It's just nice having those options. Oh man, it's a bit of a drive. Good morning. We got everything moved up this morning, or last night, excuse me. We got the 305, both the head carriers. We got the 155 with the auger, combine, trucks, the whole shebang. It's all here. We got that finished last night. We were gonna look into the 305, the leak that I was talking about yesterday. But it was so dark that we couldn't really see anything. So anyway, that's the first thing that we're gonna be looking at today. Whatever is going on here, this leak, no idea. But my dad was trying to kind of look at it before I got here. He's combining end rows right now, but because it is a very long drive for me up here. But now that I'm here, he thinks it's gonna take two of us, somebody in the cab, moving the steering around, to kind of see where the heck that's coming from.
What's annoying is the way they've got all the crap packed in here, first of all.
Yeah.
I'm almost positive he said that this step in the air filter box has got to come out and off of this thing to get to that solenoid.
Good.
Well, the air filter box has got to get out of there to take care of this line.
That's the one he was talking about?
I'm almost positive.
I thought he said there was something under the step.
Maybe he
this
said
filter
it was
box.
these steps and this filter
Yeah, to get to that solenoid.
The cab filter box. You're right. You're right. So we got to take that filter box off to get to this line, I'm thinking.
Great. So we gotta pull all the filters off of this thing and all the steps.
Unless we can figure out which line it is.
Well, like you said, I'll hop up in there and
we might be able to fish it out of there, but we got to start it. And don't turn the wheels this way or you're going to crush me. Turn the wheels that way.
Okay.
Shock's bad on the hood. The hood wouldn't stay up.
I seen that. You had the pipe in there. So.
Holding up this morning, it wouldn't work. For gosh sakes.
Okay. I got it dripping pretty good now. Let me go to the other side, see if I can't see anything. That's OSHA approved. Yeah, I see it. I see it. And of course, it is the middle. It's the middle line here.
I think it's an O-ring. I don't think it's.
Gosh, getting those. That's going to suck getting that out.
Well,
even if it is an O-ring.
If you only turn right, it don't leak.
Oh, okay.
So don't turn left.
It really doesn't like NASCAR, huh?
That's it.
Oh, good. That really just cleaned her up in there.
Yes.
Well, Dad is on his way to Berkey's now to grab a sensor. That's what we believe it is. We're just going to replace it. Hopefully that cures the problem. In the meantime, while he is off gallivanting around, all 4 of these bins need to be gotten ready. So I'm just going to start on this bin here because I think the corn that we picked is dry enough to just go straight into here. This middle bin here is a drying bin. It's got a stirrator and some drying fans on the outside. So we probably won't be using that for a little while. That's probably the last one I'm going to get ready. It's got to be cleaned out, make sure all the bird's nests are out of it. And same with this bin too. And then I'm going to get the bean bins up next because hopefully later today we can switch over to beans. Start getting those cut. Yeah, I got to put the doors in and make sure everything's all hunky-dory in here. The sweep is already set correctly right over the side slides. And that way when we open the side slides to get the door open, the sweep is also uncovered. So it's just, you always want to put your sweep right over top of those. I remember right on all of these doors, for some reason you have to go inside to close this top one. Done. Every bin should have this door. It's a GSI. They knew what they were doing. Now this bin door, it's pretty lackluster. Because it is, I mean, a mile off the ground. If you can see this. I mean, seriously? And then on top of that, when you go to climb in, the bin floor is right here. So it's just an awkward experience getting in there. If you're over 200 pounds, you're barely squeezing through that. Ouch. Oh, my knee. Oh, goodness. The spreader is full of birds' nests, so that's good. So I got to turn that on. I should have turned that on before I climbed in here. We got dead birds all over the ground. Well, Dad and I forgot that we needed a 100-foot cable to be able to get to the spreaders up in these bins. We had one here. We took it home for some reason. We needed it, but yeah, so he's got to run home anyway, which is fine because he was going to grab some high guard and stuff for that 305, or it's not a high guard. That's, I think that's Deere's, whatever the hydraulic fluid is on that 305, whatever it's called. Well, since I've got time to kill, this is the corn that I planted up here. This is all Wiffles, I believe. There might be a little 1185, but well, I know it's all the Wiffles that I bought, but there is some 1185 Pioneer, I believe, up here. It's not looking bad. This is actually a 109 day. Get the husk off of it here. This is actually a white cob. This has got to be some of the 1185, because I know that number is a white cob. I think this is the start of the 1185. I just happened to pick the very start of it. But still, looks really good. This is actually the number that dropped our yield at home there, the 50. We had a 109 day, I think it was an FS number. No, excuse me. We had a 109 day Pioneer that averaged 298 wet at like 22%. And then turned around and started picking into the 1185, the 111 day Pioneer, the white cob, and it dropped it considerably anyway. I think the field average probably about 250 after that, dry 245. So but no, I don't know, looks dry enough. They're not very big around. They're long, but that's kind of what that white cob was doing. Long and skinny. See, and that's also why we really like our yield sense going to our field view on the iPad. The planner ran field view, so we know exactly what varieties are where. We just haven't had it this year, so he does have his iPad finally in there. It's not mapping anything or doing anything like that, but he can at least kind of know where he's at and what variety he's in, so we have a little bit of an idea. But we've been a little lost this year with the new combine. It kind of just, combine is the head of the operation, and when you have something like this big of a transition from a case to a deer that you haven't ran in over 40 years, you're kind of just cutting the head off the operation, and you're scrambling around like a chicken with its head cut off, literally. And yeah, you're kind of just trying to piece stuff back together. But I think we've been doing a pretty good job, despite having the major changes this fall. This is actually our old farmhand's house. Farm, I should say, you know, and luckily he's got a nice shop here. We had to borrow some brake clean, and he had some. And we were gonna give him back, you know, just buy a new one and give him back the brake clean, but the new ones we bought didn't have the bonus 20% free. And so we just figured, you know, we used the 20% that was free, so he's better off, you know, with just that can. It's basically a full can, you know. He's got to get kind of shuffled around there so that he's got enough room for that baby truck to go in. Yeah, we've got 116 acres of corn all the way back to the fence line back there, quite a ways back past that tree line, all the way around, goes clear out to the road there, and then we got a field of beans on the other side, and then a field of beans on this side as well, and 80 over here. So there's about 120 acres of beans, 120 acres of corn, somewhere in there. And it's all looking very good. Nothing's fallen down yet. I had a 109 day here, and it is all standing perfectly. So had a 109 day, I believe 112, and then some 114 day. It's good. Good, don't care. It's not centered. Don't care. 500 bushel, 600 bushel, whatever. We're literally taking this down immediately after we get this baby truck unloaded, or the grain cart unloaded, excuse me, and switching straight to the bean bin. So, okay, I gotta climb down this, and I need two hands or else I'm gonna break my body. That'll work.
Just switch speeds right away?
Yeah. Yep, I think so.
I'll go start switching.
Okay. Yep, I'll get empty here. And then while you're switching over, I can just mess around getting this all moved over to the bean bin. So that way it's just, you can start cutting beans. So while I'm getting this dumped, he's gonna be switching the combine over. He's got a lot of settings. He's gonna switch on the outside and inside of the combine. He's gotta get the head switched over, take the corn head off, get it on the head carrier, get the flex draper on. And while he's doing that, he can just start cutting at that point. And I'll focus on getting the auger switched over to the bean bin, getting the baby truck set up to where I can get to it. Last field of beans. Rain coming soon. So I was writing this out, trying to figure out, you know, okay, we've got a bin with a dryer on it, and we've got another bin that we put dry corn in. I wrote dry bin and wet bin, because the dry bushels go in this bin and the wet bushels go in this bin so that we can dry it. But this is a drier bin, so does it, how do I, so when I wrote it, you know, this could be the drying bin, the dry bin, and then, I mean, this is a wet bin, so it's not really a wet bin though. It's just a bin with a dryer on it. So that may get confusing later on. So I just put dryer up here. Tall bin and short bin. That probably should have been what I put. Okay, we've got to get this moved over to that other bin. So, just do this the easy way. The heck? Where'd it go? Jeez, I saw a millennial farmer do it. I thought it was funny. Oh, okay, there it is. Jeez, I thought I lost it. This guy's trying to land in her field or something. No, that's the neighbor. He's got his own airstrip. Can we get to cutting beans? You guys are distracting. Kind of wondered if he was ever going to stop. Gosh, this clutch is just miserable. It's like it wants to do a burnout. There's no gradual speed. It's just, you let your foot off the clutch slowly and it's just bang, like, I'm gonna go. It's not enjoyable, honestly, to run. Watch this. See, I didn't even have my foot off the clutch to where it should even be wanting to go. And then it goes. Whew. It's miserable. And they don't have, well, they have this part. We just didn't want to take the time. He said it shouldn't get any worse. Well, it's already pretty bad. Gosh. It's real fun loading the trucks. Do I even have room in there, buddy? You didn't cut me a very good path, but we'll try it. Might run some beans over. Oh, we barely missed them. Beans are looking good. He said they were testing about 13.5, which the bins we're putting them in don't have any fans. Whew, that's mushy. Very mushy. Well, that pod was not 13%, I can tell you that. That was like 15. But he's saying his hand tester's at 13 and a half, so we want them as dry as possible. They're only gonna get drier throughout the day. It is, I mean, the sun is shining very bright. Dead calm wind, so we won't be able to run late tonight, but we're gonna do it anyway. These are cutting great. He's running about 4.5 miles an hour. Not even remotely sending them through the back. Not even bogging the machine down a little bit. He could be running quicker, but we're trying to keep as many as we can in the grain tank. So 4.5 is a good speed, especially when with our 7120 we'd only run about 2.5 maybe. So, and that was at like 110% engine power. This is just kind of cruising through them. This thing really does eat beans. He is cutting this on an angle, as you can see. You know, I'm straight with the rows now. You can see he's been cutting them on an angle, just a slight angle. Nothing crazy, but the reason he's doing that is it wears the cutter bar evenly. You're not, when you follow the rows, your sections, certain sections are the only ones getting used where that row is, you know. And so those sections wear down a lot quicker than the other ones, obviously, because the other ones aren't getting used. But if you cut at an angle, you know, you're cutting across the cutter bar all the time, and not just in those portions of that flex draper. So, not only that, but I think it cuts better, in my opinion. I mean, it seems like he gets more. It's always the grain cart driver's problem. Got a standpipe down. I knew he was getting close. I knew there was a standpipe over here somewhere. I kept asking him, I said, hey, Try not to hit that. Don't send it through the combine. It might be laying down. And sure enough, it was. These beans are making, oh, I would say 80. We don't really know for sure. Dusty, look at that. Whew. We're not 100% positive because obviously we don't have the monitor set up correctly on the deer. But with the scale on the cart there, I can come pretty close. And so far, I think they're around 84. But obviously we've only picked about 20 acres, so. Or cut about 20 acres, whatever you want to call it. Here's said standpipe, it was down. I'm just gonna pull this for him so that he can just run straight through, not worry about it. Wind is blowing away from me over here, so I'm just gonna stand here and wait for him to drive by. Jeez, these things are dry, look at this. You can just kick them out of the pods. Definitely enough dust to choke a horse. Good Lord. All the dust, of course, is just flying back into the beans and settling onto the beans. So he's just getting more and more dust every pass. Let that settle a bit before I walk back in there. Gosh, tonight is going to be a gorgeous sunset. I already know it. No clouds to speak of, other than these little weird guys. Just a happy little cloud every now and then. Oh, look, the moon. I don't know if you can see that, but anyway, it should be a beautiful sunset tonight, so you can bet I'll be getting the drone out. I hope it's charged. I haven't checked. I should probably do that. All right, where are you at? There you are. Oh, he missed a few. It's okay. I'll forgive him. And since I am running the grain cart, I really should check to make sure he is doing a good job. He's got a couple beans coming out here. You can either slow down the fan speed, maybe he's kicking the beans out. Maybe open up the sieves a little bit. See what he thinks. Oh, he's full. I gotta go. I gotta catch him. Well, I wasn't really thinking if I'm gonna catch him on the go. That standpipe is now directly in my way. I tried to set up my auto steer. My radar's back on, actually. Sorry, I'm jumping all over the place, but my radar is working now. I can see my ground speed. Look at that. So I tried to get my auto steer on. It works. It all works on. I get my GPS. I got the signal. It turns on the whole 9 yards, and then it just doesn't steer the tractor. But obviously we had that sensor leaking in the front of the tractor here, or on the steering, and I'm not so sure that isn't what's causing the problem. It just says vehicle not responding after a little bit, and it doesn't actually steer. So I'm betting that's what broke, which is unfortunate because I was really hoping to use the auto steer so that I could fly the drone while unloading on the go and stuff, because when I'm flying that drone I got a big controller in my hands, 2 hands, and then I gotta sit here and just kind of shimmy the steering wheel with my knee every now and then and make sure that I'm not killing anybody in the process and not running the combine over. It's really not any fun, but we get the job done, I guess. It's doable. At some point I will be stealing the combine from my father, because this farm I do rent. So I would like to run the combine, which he has no problem with. Obviously, he's not one of those weird, I got to do everything. I only get to run the combine, the planter, and that type. He will let me run it. I've ran it already before. I just Last time I ran it, I had my wife and kid in there, and it just, I don't know. I just didn't want to record it. It was late, and we were having a family time, so I got to pick a little corn with it the other night, and it's a sweet machine. Sweet machine. Still cutting beans. Well, we've been at it for a little while now, so I'd better check that bin. I think I should be right at about 4,000 bushel, 4,200 maybe in the bin. I can't remember what it holds, honestly. Oh, we got quite a bit of room left in here. I was thinking it was more along the 5,500 range, maybe 6,000 bushels, so I think we definitely got, I don't know, room for at least another 1,500 anyway. Fortunately, it is absolutely dead calm out. So we're gonna have to quit a little early, which means the beans are getting wet and they're not cutting very well. He started dragging a little bit, going into washes and stuff as well. It was just turning into a disaster. Started throwing a little out the back, and we don't like to do that, so we gotta finish emptying this truck out. May as well. Once this is empty, shut her down. We got like 500 gallon of fuel we need to haul up here because the 305 is about empty. It's 155. I don't even know how it's still running, and the combine is basically empty, so we got a lot of fuel to bring up here. That's gonna be a process tomorrow, but we will see you then. I don't know if this fuel gauge works, but it's buried on E. Probably just better shut it down, honestly. Better safe than sorry. Thanks for subscribing, liking the video. Appreciate you guys. We'll catch you in the next one.